Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. And before we begin, a word from our sponsor. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tv@gmail.com. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Romeo Sports Recap Show. I'm Tim Meyer, and today in our studio, we have Romeo Athletic Director Cody Smith. And Cody, how long have you been Athletic Director at Romeo?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is completed my 5th year here at Romeo and 11th year overall as a athletic director. I completed 6 years at L'Anse Creuse North prior to coming over to Romeo.
And what's interesting about being the athletic director?
I always tell people it's, two different jobs. You're in your office in the morning and during the school hours, doing the business side of sports administration, the finances, the transportation, scheduling, and then, come 4 o'clock, you're out at the fields or in the gym watching sports and seeing kids make those memories and having fun of doing what they love. So I always tell people it's 2 different type of jobs, so it's pretty rewarding in that aspect.
I'm sure the office part is just grueling some days.
It can be. I mean, there's a lot of balls in the air when you're trying to juggle. We have 23 different varsity sports and then different sub-varsity teams of those teams. So I think we have over 56 collective teams. So trying to give each one the attention they deserve and make sure nothing gets missed. It can be challenging at times, but it's definitely rewarding.
So one of the, I guess, what is one of the big challenges of this being an athletic director and doing all that? What's probably your biggest challenge?
I would just say it's probably making sure you don't miss anything. I mean, you don't want to end up at a game without officials or without a bus there to pick up your team. So it's kind of just doing the double checking and making sure everyone has what they need to have a successful game or have a successful experience. So it's just, I would say, the double checking and making sure nothing gets slipped through the cracks. Just with the amount of teams and amount of programs we have, there's a lot that goes into it. So just the double checking aspect of it.
So you also, I believe, have somebody that helps you.
Correct. Miss Carrie Went, she is our athletic secretary, and then Kayla Phillips is our athletic trainer. So I think the 3 of us are a pretty well-oiled machine, picking up for one another when someone's out or missing or just needs help with one thing or another. I think we're a pretty well-oiled machine out there.
Talk about your background personally. Why athletics did you play? Tell us a little bit about your history.
Sure. So I mainly played hockey growing up, played some other sports, baseball and track as well. But hockey was my number one love, and did some coaching out in Jenison during my college years. And then when I moved down to Florida, I attended Florida State and then was their ACHA hockey team hockey coach. So I was working in that regard.
Wait, Florida State has a hockey
program?
Yeah.
So
you only hear about the football program, but they haven't got
not many kids on campus even knew we had one. So, that was a challenge, is trying to, brand and market
keeping
the
the ice frozen is a big challenge.
Yep. So worked in their athletic department for a little bit. And then when I moved back to Michigan, I was, looking for work, and I landed the assistant athletic director job at L'Anse Creuse North, and I managed to keep that for about 3 months before I landed in the big chair. The athletic director there moved on to a dean of students role, so I was thrown into the fire pretty quickly, and I've, like I said, I lasted there 6 years before moving on to Romeo.
What this year? We've had some pretty good athletes come through in all different sports. What are some of the maybe things that stick out in your mind? One of the memories of somebody that sticks out in your mind throughout this last year?
Yeah, I mean, when you say memories, one of the first thing comes to mind is, Tim Cooley. I mean, he's a beast out there on the basketball court, and just within the building, he's 6'8", 6'9", and great personality, great kid, and just he was an anchor on the basketball team for the last 4 years. Varsity starter for 4 years, and made a huge impact there. But I would say one of my favorite kids in my 11 years would probably be Giorgio Rufino. He graduated this year, and he was a tremendous asset to our athletic program. He was always the kid that would always ask you, like, how's your day going? What can I help you with? There to lend a hand. He was our RAC, which is the Romeo Athletic Advisory Committee. He was the president of that this past year and kind of the face of our organization. And so we've grown close with him, in the last handful of years. And I would say he's a great student, great.
Well, he had one big hit I remember in the fall that in a big game.
Yep, I think it was Chippewa Valley. Might have been. Yeah, I know the hit you're talking about. Yeah. Yep.
And boy, and I talked to his dad later, and because his dad was on the sidelines, and there were people in the booth screaming that it was an illegal hit. But his dad told me that, and when we watched the tape after, his shoulder was down, and it was a good hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen worse in high school.
Yeah, and he's a 3-sport athlete, played football, basketball, and golf for us. So, I mean, those are some of the key things we look for in our student athletes, just the multi-sport participation and, great citizenship, and, academics were off the chart for him as well. So, great kid.
Yeah, he was a good kid, and so was Mr. Antonelli.
Oh, absolutely.
With his volunteerism and his interest in the special needs kids, getting them out there to experience the game of football and in that flag form. And I'll never forget all them kids out there during the preseason.
The red-white game.
The red and white game, and they were, man, I'll tell you, you couldn't get a more enthused group, and then they were asking the players for autographs and stuff. It was just great. It was great to see. He put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, and I think Ian took that upon himself, too, to get that program started with Parks and Rec, and, some help with the football program and some of his buddies on the team to get it off the ground. So, kudos to him for making that happen, and he really excelled with it. So looking forward to, how far they can continue to run with it.
Yeah, it'd be great to see. Season was not without trials and tribulations, I'm sure. One that comes to mind is the hockey situation, where Derek Grace was your coach at the beginning of the year, and then you switched to Matt Burke and Mitch Bittis. Kind of talk a little bit about that, how difficult that was for you to make that move.
Timing happened right around Christmas. Coach Derek had decided to step down at that time. So Matt and Mitch had been on the program. Mitch has been around for 6-7 years. Won a state championship with Romeo on that team. And then Matt came on probably 2 or 3 years ago. And so we had met, and they said, they didn't want to, kind of let the guys down for the rest of the year. They wanted to pick up and run with it. So they did a great job. Going forward, Matt will be the sole head coach, and Mitch is going to stay on as assistant. Just some of his work constraints.
When we had Matt on the show, he did express that to us, that he was going to stay on as hockey head coach, which is good. He's a good coach, and
good continuity. You want the kids to have some of the similar beliefs and principles throughout the season to season. So instead of just having a third head coach in a matter of months, we would like to see them kind of continue and give them the opportunity to make their impact on Romeo hockey. So Derek did a great job the past couple of years. He led the team to a regional championship.
20-win season.
Yeah. So, he made his stamp, and looking forward to what Matt and Mitch can do going forward.
Well, let's talk about the spring sports. Let's recap them a little bit. We'll start out with boys lacrosse. It looked like they were going to just take off gangbusters, and then they ran into a rut. And Mike Lakowski was a good player for them, but they just couldn't seem to get over that hump.
Yeah, they definitely, it was a roller coaster of a season too. They Coach Jack Smith, he challenges his team. He schedules one of the harder schedules. I mean, they had Heartland on there, ended up with Brother Rice in the playoffs, and some of the top teams in the state. Jack likes to see year in and year out to prepare them for playoffs and whatnot. So definitely a roller coaster. They ended up winning, sharing a tie for the MAC Red. They had a chance to win it outright, but the roller coaster took them down at that point, and so they ended up coming away with a tie. And then in the MAC Red tournament, they fell just short of making it to the final round. They lost to the eventual champion in Grosse Pointe South, won the tournament, and then fast forward to regionals. They beat Anchor Bay the first round and Port Huron the second round, and then you face a buzzsaw in Brother Rice, who ended up winning the state championship. And I feel like they've won, 5 of the last 6 or 6 of the last 7 state championships. So that's a tough team to run into. And
that's it's like the team from the lower 20 teams facing the Yankees or something,
right?
Who's got that history in the dynasty
Yep.
and everything. I got to say, lacrosse, and I've never broadcast it until last year, but you're a hockey guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's brutal out there.
I
don't know how they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of just getting slashed in the forearms and
these guys
beat
keep
over
going.
with
They
a
get
stick,
slashed.
yeah.
They keep going. Like
Yeah.
in hockey, you'd like drop your stick and drop the gloves and, let's settle it now, boys.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And there's some vicious. It's the one position that, takes a lot of stomach to get out there is the goalie. I mean, how you can stand out there and.
Well, those balls are not soft balls.
No.
They're hard rubber. I mean, it's almost like getting hit by a Super Ball.
Yeah. Imagine here, block this baseball with a broom is basically what they.
I don't know. It's a vicious game.
Yeah.
But even maybe more vicious sometimes, and I've seen this firsthand, is girls soccer.
Mm-hmm.
You had a real nice team this year. They were on the show, and nice, well-mannered young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to watch them on the soccer field, and I wouldn't get out there. Looking in there, they're vicious.
Yeah.
They are vicious out
Pretty
there.
aggressive team, absolutely. Yeah.
I wouldn't feel safe. If I got the ball, I'd give it up right away. But they had a good season, and they had shutouts. They were shutting people out.
Yeah.
And then towards the playoffs, it was I think a tough loss to Stony Creek, who eventually won the whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah. I mean, Coach Trevor Foster has the team pretty prepared. Another one that has a tough schedule. They played Rochester. They played Adams and Eisenhower, and all these teams are top 10 teams in the state. And the girls didn't back down. They wanted to make their mark, and they were pretty excited. And I think they fell just short of a MAC Red championship. They lost, I think it was the last regular season, or they tied Eisenhower to give Ike the lead for the MAC Red title. And then, like you mentioned, lost to the eventual state champion in Stony Creek, 1-0 game.
It was a 1-0 game. It wasn't like it was a blowout. They didn't
Yeah.
get blown out, and so I mean, you take some solace out of that. I mean, this team went on to win the state championship, and you only lost to 1-0,
Mm-hmm.
and probably could have won that game a few breaks.
Yeah, they definitely had opportunities, and it's just got to capitalize on those chances.
And the other team, the girls softball, have some interesting players there. One of the most interesting players, she was on the show, but we had to make her interview first because she had to go home for family dinner, which I didn't want to interrupt that because, I didn't need her dad coming down here getting mad at me. But Reese Fountain had a nice year for the girls softball team.
Yeah, Reese is another two-sport athlete, great kid, great academics. She always has a smile on her face, brings that positive energy. And this year, she smacked the heck out of the ball. I think tied for the team in home runs or second, one of, right up there. She was a all district, all regional player, and, had aspirations to make all state. I think she just fell a little short of that, but, she was definitely part of the glue that held that team together. And, they had a pretty good season, and I think they'll definitely miss a lot of their senior leadership. I think they'd graduate 6 seniors off that team. So Good core coming back. But
John's got a couple of nice players coming back, younger players that played this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's 6 or 7 that are going to be seniors, and then you got a couple juniors and sophomores coming up that can plug right in and make an impact. They had 2 freshmen that played quite a lot of innings and at bats, so looking forward to them taking the next step and growing with the program.
And he's got a situation where there's a Romeo softball travel team as well that the girls can keep playing.
Yeah.
And you're Florida State, so you've been down there, but back in the day when I was playing baseball, it was a disadvantage because these kids from Florida could play like 9
year round,
10 months,
yeah.
Out of the year in the cage, hitting, and that, I thought it was an advantage, but really there's just as many people from other places in the United States that play baseball.
Yeah, especially now with the different fall ball leagues and summer leagues, like you said. Here they're trying to play as much as they can, and then they were in the aux gym in the batting cage in January doing 4-player rotations and that kind of stuff pretty early, getting ready. So it's a challenge, not being able to get outside as much as some of the other programs, but that's Michigan for you, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of baseball, let's talk about baseball. I was going to end with it, but the baseball team they had about a 500 year this year. And I think at the end things got a little bit sour as they ran in the districts. They thought they were going to go a little farther. Comment a little bit about the season for the baseball team.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It was kind of a 500, and they were hoping for a couple more wins and here and there. I think at times the bats just kind of went stagnant, and then when the bats were working, maybe the pitching arms weren't as accurate as you would hope. So it was a tough challenge for them to put it all together at times, but I think Coach D will probably have that team ready for next year. I know they're already doing some summer camps and things along those lines, and he's looking forward to the players he's got coming back. Buster DeBoll, he's going to be a senior next year. He logged a lot of innings, and he was a core player for them. He was a all-conference player for them, so I think they're going to rely on him. He was throws as well on the mound. So
Brody Myers, another guy.
Brody, yeah, another freshman that'll make an impact.
Again. Yeah. So we hope for big things for them next year. But some teams that did some big things on the track side.
Yeah, the girls track team, second in. I'm thinking cross country. They won the regionals. So we sent 16 track athletes to the state finals combination between boys and girls, and a few different all-state athletes out there. So, you got the Clore family who they're breeding runners, and they have had 3 all-staters this year. So Madison graduates, but they have a couple more. Emerson's will still be here, and Connor, and then Mike and Mike will have the next man up or next lady up. This town has some good runners. I know they run year round, and it's no sight that you can see them in the wintertime running down Van Dyke or around the school. And so it's a cult. The running community.
I can't run because I leave potholes, but they're not. I'm not allowed to. But running can be I don't want to say an addiction, but it's sort of it's a thing that, runners get. I don't know if it's just from the, running and it releases some sort of good feeling in you. Me, it doesn't. It releases like knee pain.
Yeah, what do they say? The runner's high once you hit, so much mileage, then, it's adrenaline kicks in.
The runner's
and
high,
everything
that's it.
like that. Yeah. So. They love it, and I agree with you. I don't think I could run as many miles. I always joke with them after a meet. Some of the girls or boys that do the 2 mile, and then right after for their cool down, they go run 3 more miles as a cool down. And I was going, what are you guys thinking?
That's a workout. Yeah. That would be put them on the EKG.
Yeah.
Well, how about girls tennis? We had the girls tennis in here and spoke to some of their players. They had a surprisingly, according to the coach, a surprisingly good year. He did not expect the year that he had.
Yeah, I think with last year's team, they graduated a lot of their girls that logged a lot of points for them and scored a lot of points for them. And but Coach Matt had the next lady prepared and ready and developed quite a few. There were some incoming players, some freshmen and sophomore that made some impacts on the team, and then you had your senior leadership that also helped carry them. And Jade had some tough matches as one singles, and then when you.
And she did surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Really just she got thrown in there to the top spot and did really well.
Yeah, she definitely held her own and, made some noise. And I think in the MAC Red they were third, maybe fourth place, and then just missed out on the state finals at regionals by 1 or 2 points in matches. So they were right there neck and neck in the thick of things. And I think Coach Matt hopes to get back to the state finals next year, and
he's aiming for it. He was complaining on the show about Eisenhower's freshmen or something that they have this year, and so he has his sights on making sure they beat them. But they were really good players.
Yep.
So
Eisenhower is his number one target every year.
Yeah,
and, I think with a lot of our sports too, you go ahead and ask any Romeo who's your rival. It's either going to be Eisenhower or Dakota. I think that's a key thing. So definitely with the girls tennis team, and that's one of their biggest rivals because you'll see them in regionals and in league play.
How about the boys golf? How did they do this year?
Good. They had a really good year. They ended up sending Dominic DeLora to the state finals. He qualified as a individual. They missed out on earning a trip to the state finals as a team by I think they were in 4th place in top 3 teams go on, I think. So it could have been maybe they were 3rd place and top 2 go on, but they missed it by just one place. And then Dominic qualified as a individual, and he held his own and made us proud as Bulldogs to watch him play out there.
Where do they play? Where does the boy? If people want to go watch the boys golf team or want to be around that, where do they? What's the home course?
So this year our home course was Pine Valley. In the past couple of years we've kind of rotated a little bit. We played at Greystone a few years back, and then this year we switched to Pine Valley. So they seem to enjoy their experience there. And Pine Valley, the management systems team over there has been great to us and very accommodating. So we're very appreciative of their support and letting us play.
Couple holes you tee off from a cliff.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
which is challenging. Yep. But what's your home course?
I'm all over the place. I'm not a great golfer, but I love to get out there, especially when we have outings and scrambles and things along those lines. So,
well, that surprises me as a hockey player. All hockey players are good golfers, right?
Not me. If the hole's to the left, I need to aim to the far right, or vice versa.
I have a friend that's a hockey player, and he he takes a shot like a snapshot when he's teeing off. A real small backswing.
Yeah.
But I've seen enough of the professionals out there golfing. Chris Draper and Sergey Samsonov and those guys, and they just got such hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, I saw online Darren McCarty had like his 3rd or 4th hole-in-one, and you would never imagine some of the stuff translates over to one another, but it does.
Not for me. No right. Hole-in-one for me. The closest I got was a foot, and that was it. Excellent. And that was, I think, was at the Orchards on one of the par 3s. So that was kind of interesting. Well, let's talk a little bit about next year in the fall. We're going to take a little summer break, but I guess first off, we start fall sports. Football starts before school starts.
Yeah, I mean, officially the first day of all fall sports is August 7th or 8th, whatever that Monday is, but when you look at the strength and conditioning camps and speed camps and 7-on-7s and whatnot, I mean, they've started the Monday right after school let out of different summer activities and preparing. And
I've heard the rumblings of that happening.
Yeah, so they have a bad taste in their mouth after losing to Dakota in the playoffs, and their sights are set on getting revenge on them, and taking back MAC Red championships and moving on regional regional championships in the playoffs. So they're definitely hungry this year. A lot of core pieces coming back. Looking forward to some of the exciting scores and recaps that the team has. To open the season, they have a tough task. They're going to play Caledonia, who was a state finalist last year, and they're going to play at
that's at Caledonia, right?
It's at the Big House at University of Michigan. So,
it is going to be at Michigan. So that is August 25th. I want to
August 25th, 3:30 game. So tickets will go on sale sometime in August. Fans can buy them right in our office and probably online, that kind of thing. But it'll be exciting just to get our team out there. Not only is it football going, but cheer, dance, and band will make the trip with them. The whole Friday experience, and we hope the whole town of Romeo and Washington and Bruce can all get out there and support them.
Support the Bulldogs,
Yeah.
and but they have 2 away games right after that, right?
Yeah. So the season, they're on the road for the first 3 weeks. So they'll be on the road at Michigan, and then Roseville and. I don't remember now who week 3 is. Maybe Eisenhower or Stevenson, maybe.
Stevenson, I think it is. And then come home for Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Which will be good, but it's the first home game, and expect that a tough battle there, as it always is, because they're so close.
Right.
The kids know each other. And you'll have a new quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm.
He'll take over, and of course Victor Earl will be back.
Yeah. So I think Caden is taking a lot of the snaps at QB1 right now in the off season, and getting pushed by some of the other players that want that position. But I think some of the things that Coach Rhinus and the offensive staff has in mind, I think they'll plug in the best player at that position, and it different packages and looks and whatnot. But looking forward to it. And I think, like you said, Victor will probably be a focal point on both sides of the ball. He's getting offers from a lot of the D1 schools, and I don't think he's made up his mind just yet. Oh, yeah, I've just gotten a note in my headphones that he's committed to Central. So
he did commit to Central.
Very
Chippewa.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think, like I said, he'll be a focal point on both sides of the ball, and make an impact.
You mentioned cheer and dance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, competitive cheer. How does this work with the dance and the cheer? We see him at the football game that are great for the games, being there and supporting the team. But how does that work?
So during the fall is sideline season for both of them. So cheer and dance, you'll see their halftime routines, their sideline routines, and then when it comes later fall, October, November, into the winter is when the competition season starts for both programs. So they'll the competitive cheer is sponsored by the MHSA, so they'll follow different MHSA rules and protocols. They do 3 different rounds, and don't quiz me on what the difference is between the 2 rounds. There's 3 rounds. There's certain tricks and stunts and whatnot they're allowed to do when, and how many, and that's a question for Coach Laura Rhinus or Coach Jacqueline Delamelier. But so they do 3 different rounds at each competition, and then they usually it's about 8 or 9 competitions before they end into districts and regionals for cheer. And then dance is not governed by the MHSA. They're governed through UDA. So same thing, they go to different schools though and perform different competitions and dances through their POM or game day or jazz, like different style dances, whatnot. And so the team has 3 or 4 dances that they have to learn and execute.
And then perform,
Yeah.
and they get judged on it.
Right.
Oh,
right.
interesting. Boys soccer.
Mm-hmm.
This is a soccer-rich area in the Macomb Athletic Conference, the Red Division anyway. How did the Romeo soccer, do you think, is going to stack up this year?
I think Coach Vinny will always have his team, prepared. They always seem to have that style of grinding out games. They're a well-conditioned team, aggressive, like you had mentioned with the girls' team. I know they graduated a lot of their goal scorers from last year, but they have one of the Capuzzo brothers back, and Joey Casuccio's back in that. So this is going on his, maybe it's even his third year, definitely as a starting goaltender for Romeo. And there's some core pieces around him on the back end with Taseski and Miner and Bennett up the middle. So I think he's got a lot of pieces coming back, and looking forward to making a run at the division championship. And it always seems just out of reach. They always seem to be second or third place right there. So hopefully this is the year to get over the hump.
Yeah, get over the hump, and maybe bring a MAC Red championship to start home. That would be great.
Yeah.
Girls golf. That's in the fall. Now, do they play at Pine Valley as well?
They are at Cherry Creek.
They're at Cherry Creek
down the road. Yep.
Okay. Any inkling there? Any word about what's going to happen with the girls golf this year?
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty competitive. I think they're in the MAC White, so their division's another tough division for them to compete in. And I think Coach Paul Scally and Coach Keith will always have the girls prepared, and with the practice rounds, and they go to the different courses that they're gonna play on, so they can be prepared of the, like you mentioned, different angles or what kind of shot they need to work on and prepare for. So yeah, I think the ladies will be pretty competitive this season, and if they can make a run at regionals, if they can qualify as a team for states, that'd be amazing.
And the girls volleyball, that's more as we get into more of the winter side. But do any of the girl athletes from the other teams play?
Yeah,
the girls volleyball.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover. Trista Emil, she was on the girls tennis team. Used to play basketball as well, I believe, back in the day. But she's probably one of the focal points on the volleyball program. She's just got word she's committed to Saginaw Valley, so she plays all over the court for them. But I mean, they got a lot of hitters that can make an impact, and with Culkin and some of the other girls on the team.
Any of the soccer girls? I know you've got a couple of tall soccer girls there. Well, goalie being one. Eva Hill is pretty.
Yeah, Eva played basketball. I don't think she played volleyball.
She'd be mean there
yeah.
too. He scares me.
She's
so
fierce.
nice,
yeah.
And then when she competes, she
flips the switch.
She's mean.
Yeah.
She's a competitor.
Yeah. So I know Coach Stacy is pretty excited for the team. A lot of these girls have been on varsity for 3 and 4 years now, and they look forward to making a run at the MAC Red. It's, you look at a lot of our teams in the fall; they're in the red or the white, two of the toughest divisions around, and that shows how high our programs are. And you may not win the championship, but if you were in another division, you probably would. And you're playing the best of the best all season. So looking forward to what the volleyball program can do. We're going to be hosting districts this year for the team, so hopefully that gives them a little home court advantage a little bit. So
it's always nice.
Yeah, so that'll be Halloween weekend and that week going into it. So
yeah, and finally, boys tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Matt, the tennis coach, tells me he coaches the girls tennis different than he coaches the boys tennis. And I think that means the boys' tennis has it a little bit harder.
Yeah, I would say with anyone, if you're coaching both boys and girls sides, you can push boys different than you can push some girls, or vice versa. Some boys like to be screamed at and hollered at to motivate them, or some of the other might not. And it
all
goes
those
for
years
both
in
ways.
the Army,
right. But it goes for even within the gender, you just got to find how each athlete ticks and what motivates them, and I think he does a good job of fleshing that out and really motivating his team. I think they all have fun with him. He's has that fun, quirky personality, and they connect well with them.
Yeah, they hit the balls at him when he's standing there. No, it's he is a good coach, and those years in the Army, if he passes along some of that discipline to some of the players, and but we look forward to seeing how the boys are going to do compared with the girls. Cody Smith, thank you for stopping by to the Romeo Sports Recap. You've certainly enlightened us and hopefully our audience, and get a little bit closer to the Romeo Sports and get out there and support the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to seeing everyone out there in the fall, regardless of what sport. Come on out and support. And if it's your first time out, stop by and say hello.
Very good. And Madison Janabet will be here shortly, and she's going to talk with Romeo athletic trainer Kayla in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you.
Before we continue here on the Romeo Sports Recap Show, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tv@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
Today, I am joined by athletic trainer for Romeo Sports, Kayla Phillips. Kayla, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So let's just start with your background. Tell us, high school, were you thinking about being an athletic trainer? Did you know that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I grew up just a town over in Elmont. We're a very small school. We did not have an athletic trainer. I had no idea that was even a real job.
Yeah.
My dad growing up was the fire chief of Berlin Township. And so I always grew up watching him help people and I really enjoyed that medical emergency side. But again, I didn't know what athletic training was.
Yeah.
So I was in the band and my dad helped out with the football team, and we went to a district playoff game at a school that had an athletic trainer, and my dad was like, you have to come meet her. So I found out what athletic training was, realized it kind of combined all the things that I loved: sports, medicine, emergency, working with high schoolers, and instantly I was like, that's what I'm doing. So that was the end of the questions on where or what I was doing.
Awesome. Did you have a school in mind for college at that point? I assume most colleges would offer that as a career.
Yeah. Well, athletic training at the time, there was only a couple schools in Michigan.
Yeah.
When I started researching it, I still kind of was thinking about playing soccer, and quickly found out that the athletic training degree and requirements didn't necessarily line up with playing a college sport as well. So I kind of veered over to just athletic training, which led me to Central Michigan, which had one of the best programs, and I was really excited. I also was able to get into the leadership program there, and so it was kind of the perfect fit for me.
Awesome. So let's talk about experiences while you're in college, because obviously you're going for athletic training as your degree, but I assume you're also maybe starting to work with the teams there, right, to get experience in that?
Yep. So we were required to have an insane amount of clinical hours. We were basically your second semester, third semester into college, you were already working with teams, getting observation hours, working a little bit with the athletes, and progressing on as you got more experience. So I got to do rotations with CMU football, baseball, gymnastics, work in the orthopedic room with our doctor. So I kind of got to see all of the sports.
Yeah.
I did a stint in the local ER, in a PT clinic, and then went to Mount Pleasant High School, where I completed my last semester at Central. And then your final semester throughout the program, you do an internship. And so we had to apply to different internships, different opportunities, and I was able to get really fortunate and get my first pick, which was Bloomfield Hills. And so my last semester at college, I was actually there the whole time, working full time, studying for my boards, finishing up my research project, things like that. But that's where I think I learned the absolute most. My mentor, John, was the head athletic trainer there, and he taught me everything that I know and made me become the type of athletic trainer I am.
I feel like that's something that people probably don't realize is how much, just aside from schooling, it's the internships, it's the shadowing, I feel like not everybody thinks about how much goes into becoming an athletic trainer.
Oh yeah, it was, you're taking full class loads, plus then, you're going and working athletics after, afternoons, or you would have morning practices, and so you would do night classes.
Yeah.
So
it was your job.
Yes, full time.
While you're in school, it's also your job.
Absolutely. Yeah, I give a lot of credit to the my classmates who did try to have jobs during that time period, or tried to do other things outside of just athletic training. It was extremely difficult.
Yeah. So when did you graduated? When did you come onto the Romeo staff?
So I was really lucky, and this job opened up as I was at Bloomfield Hills. We were working on me staying there. I really enjoyed that staff. I really enjoyed that school. Had gotten really close with the athletes, and so we were working on getting me a job there.
Yeah.
And another athletic trainer reached out that the Romeo position had opened, knowing that I lived in Elmont growing up. And so I interviewed for it, and I actually had this position lined up before I even walked across the stage to graduate.
Wow.
So that's
probably something most college graduates cannot say.
No. Yeah, I was very fortunate.
Yeah. So let's get into exactly what athletic training is, because obviously a lot of schooling, like we talked about.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you do as an athletic trainer?
So athletic trainers are not the personal trainers most people think. We don't train athletes. I mean, we can, but we typically don't. We specialize in sports medicine. Is kind of the better word I would use. Yeah. So I focus on preventative care. I focus on immediate emergency care, diagnostic and quick evaluation, and then rehabilitation. Mm-hmm. So we are there from before an injury to after an injury, which is very unique because most medical professionals can't say that they are a part of all of those things. It also makes the schooling really difficult because we do have to learn a little bit from each and every subsection of the medicine world. Yeah,
it's definitely, like you said, it's not just training an athlete. Like most people hear athletic trainer, they think that's what it is. Yep. That's not what it is.
No.
And you're covering all of the sports.
Yes.
And you were the only athletic trainer. So
Yep. So
I am about that balance. I mean, every Romeo sport you're covering.
Yep. So I am responsible for all of the high school sports. I do help oversee some of the middle school in the sense that if a coach has a problem, or sometimes the administration will reach out to me, and I will evaluate them, but I don't cover their games. But yes, I cover and monitor all. How many number of sports do we have?
They say like 23 varsity sports or something?
52, something like that. So
it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. It's important to kind of the state and my governing bodies give us a list of kind of the order of importance per se. Yeah. So our contact sports will always get my first and most amount of care because they're the most likely to be injured, and it kind of works its way down. Yeah. So that's usually how I pick what sport I'm going to be at, which practice, which game is based off of that likelihood of an injury based off the contact level. Yeah. But it does make it very difficult. And right now we are in three different locations for games, 4 if you include golf. So kind of monitoring all the sports does become difficult sometimes because they're not always on campus with me.
We take 50 sports and then we split it up on 4 locations.
Yeah, pretty much.
Make it even more convenient for you.
Super fun.
So I see too, you have student aides, right? Yeah. So what is their role?
Yep. So one of the first things I did when I came here, because again, I didn't have athletic trainers when I was in high school. I didn't know what they were. I wanted to make sure that our athletes had opportunities to learn what athletic training is. So I have a student aide, usually every season, mainly in football. It's a high schooler who's interested in medicine or just interested in sports and more. They assist me with the basic taping, wrist taping, helping me get ankles started. And then they're also my eyes and ears out in the game. So if someone were to get hurt and I'm not paying attention, if I'm working on somebody else, they'll alert me, they'll help me, they'll monitor. Sometimes we have, a triage of injuries with games, and there's just a bunch of them. So they'll be in charge of watching or monitoring maybe a lower level injury while myself or our team doctor work on the next injury. So they're super helpful. I'm very grateful for all of the different athletic training student aides I've had. They make my job significantly easier with it being just me there.
Yeah. I had no idea you started that program. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's so helpful too. 'Cause maybe like you don't even know that athletic training is a possibility, right? And they see you, and then they get the chance to work with you too. That's pretty good. That's almost as good as making it a class. Right. They get the hands-on experience too, which is so awesome. Yeah. So we're transitioned off of the spring season now. Yes. So you're into summer, but you don't stop. You're still going. So what happens for you during the summer?
Yeah. So it's really important to recognize that high school sports is a year-round commitment. We don't necessarily get holiday breaks because there's lots of tournaments and events still during them. Summer is full go between strength and conditioning, summer camps, 7-on-7s, different drills and practices. So I'm in significantly less than I am during the regular year. Yeah. But I'm still there probably about 20 hours a week covering strength and conditioning. And then I'm there for all of our 7-on-7 football events just because, again, that level of contact and chance of injury.
Yeah. So obviously that's probably the most high contact sport. Would you say that's the most difficult sport?
It is. It's mainly because of the amount of athletes. Football, between the three teams, we have probably about 150 athletes, I would guess, maybe even more when you add in the freshmen. And so they take up a lot of energy. I love them so much, but they are very needy. Yeah. And so they definitely use up most of my time.
Yeah. I like the way of trying to word it nicely.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of energy.
Yes. They're very demanding. And again, they are very high contact. So they are going to be the ones with probably the most severe regular injuries.
Yeah, for sure. And then you recently won an award. Right?
I did.
So maybe you want to tell us about that, brag a little bit. It's no big deal, but
so I was extremely honored to be selected as the Michigan Athletic Trainers Society, which is my state organization. Yeah. They named me the Outstanding Young Professional of the Year this year. So that was
congratulations.
Thank you. It was a very amazing moment. I was extremely honored and thankful for the people who made it happen. Yeah. So, it was cool. It was that's a huge honor.
Pretty awesome. I mean, you haven't been in this too long, right? Yeah. So to be recognized while you're still that young, that's pretty incredible.
Yep. I've been I've been here for 6.5 years. And so, that's a cool moment. And I really, truly felt the love of the Romeo High School and Romeo Community Schools, the community. Between the parents and the staff members and all that, the comments on the Facebook posts and all those, I was like, wow,
feeling the love.
I feel the love a lot from this.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So tell me about, obviously, you're working with all the sports. Mm-hmm. There's crazy things that are happening, good and bad. So what are some of your most memorable moments? I know, from all 6.5 years here.
So there's a lot. I always say like 95% of my job is amazing. It's unreal. Yeah. There is that 5% that is a little difficult that everybody has, but some of my absolute favorite moments were this year when we won the chip game on that 2-point conversion. There's a photo that Mr. Mike Nicely took, and it's looking kind of directly towards our sideline, and you can see myself, my student aide, our team doctor, and then my IR, my injury reserve, all of us celebrating as Tyler Pressel crossed the line. And I adore that photo because I think it really shows like how invested the sports medicine team is in the sports.
That's awesome.
So I loved that. I've gotten quite a few different entertaining moments of trying to learn how to play the sports. Lacrosse has tried to teach me. Baseball has tried to teach me. So those are always really comical.
How's that going?
Not great. So, I mean, I'm better at lacrosse than I am at baseball for sure. I can actually throw the ball, so
there's that.
Good. Yeah,
that's more than most can say.
Yeah, I've gotten out on the ice with the hockey team. Not great.
Yep.
Speaking of hockey, one of my favorite moments is that I did meet my fiance, soon to be husband, through the hockey program. Thank you. He is one of our coaches, so Mitch Bittis. So that was, obviously it's got to be one of my favorite moments.
Maybe
getting a husband out of that. And then I think that it's also important to mention that like there are sad moments. You get really invested in I get really invested in my athletes and all of their accomplishments, and it's devastating to have to look at someone and say that you're done for the rest of your life. You're never going to play sports again.
Yeah.
Or this season that you've worked so hard for, you won't be able to finish.
Yeah.
Or for wrestling, like pulling a kid off of the mat and saying you can't continue this match, even though this is what's going to take you to the state championship. So those moments of hardship and when my job isn't fun, those stand out too.
It's in that 5%.
Yeah, that's part of that 5% for sure. I also, one of my favorite memories is that myself and Cody, we created a leadership program at the school called RAC, Romeo Athletic Advisory Committee, and just the opportunities and the challenges we've been able to provide for our athletes through that organization are awesome. I love the relationships we've made with our executive board members, and I'm really proud of that group.
Yeah. It almost feels like you guys have created like a sports management, because again, not a class that would typically be offered. Mm-hmm. So now athletes aren't just having the opportunity to play their sports, but they get the opportunity to learn about a potential career that they could go into after college and everything, which is so incredible. Yeah. Yes. And let's comment too, because we were sitting over there watching Tim and Cody talk. And so there's been some players that have made it. I know they mentioned one, and you were like touched over there. So you want to talk about that too? Yeah. So Cody talked about Giorgio Ruffino. He is our president of RAC, and just one of my favorites that I've had the pleasure of knowing. Cody said it best. He's always the one that's asking how our day is, and offering to help when he doesn't have to. So I've appreciated him. My student aides are unmatched. This year I had Sarah and Annabelle, and they were so great and helpful. Yeah. There's just so many of them. Yeah. Each one comes with such a different personality. For soccer, we had Izzy Barron and Olivia Kako and Eva Hill and Olivia Turley. Like that group, they make every day kind of worth it, especially on those days. I mean, you can't be happy 100% of the time. And this is just a reality. Yeah. So it's nice when we're having a bad day or we're upset about something that maybe had happened, and you get those athletes that come in and they brighten your day up. Yeah. Those are the best. I love those kids, and I'm very grateful for all of our athletes. We are very fortunate to have the kids we have. Yeah. And I mean, you get to see them grow up too, right? You're helping these kids and seeing these kids from when they start as freshmen on their teams to then watching them graduate. Yeah, that's pretty remarkable, especially when they go on to play these college sports, and then you get to follow them, right? And you can't beat that. Yeah, I remember like Michael Heldman as a freshman, and now he's crushing it up at Central. Or, Victor is a little baby 8th grade or 7th grader, and now he's going to go on. And, it's cool. And then we have a lot of siblings at Romeo. Yeah. And so, that's fun watching kind of the family pathway. I had my very first year here, I had a Schneider, and now there's baby Schneiders coming through the line, and that just makes it fun. Yeah, definitely keeps you interesting. Not making you feel old though, right? No, not at all. Yeah. I will admit, the first class that I was with all 4 years, I cried a lot because I like, oh my gosh, I've been here a long time. And then also you're losing a part of your life. I spend more time at this school with these athletes and the staff members than I do at my own house. So. And that says something, and it shows, because they have that great relationship with you that they maybe wouldn't necessarily have. Like, you put in a lot of work outside of just being the athletic trainer to them to gain their trust, and that shows. Yeah, I find it, very important, and I thank my mentor, John, from Bloomfield Hills, for teaching me that in order for someone to trust you, they have to have faith in you and a good relationship with you. So I enjoy, just as much as I enjoyed the injuries and the athletics, I enjoy sitting and talking about the relationship drama and the, what happened at prom and the, talking about the more serious stuff. So family issues and things, because there's one of my favorite moments was we had an athlete who I didn't realize I was super close with, but I kind of was, and they dislocated their shoulder during school and immediately were screaming for someone to come find me. And just knowing that, like, the first thought they have is to get me so that I can help them, like, that comes from that trust you create prior to the injury. And that's so incredible to see. Yeah. Because, I mean, that doesn't happen everywhere, right? There could be someone that takes being an athletic trainer as just being the athletic trainer and not putting in that work outside of that. And that makes it different in what you do. That makes it almost easier in what you do.
Significantly easier.
And I love what we were talking about before this too, when you were talking to me about why you became an athletic trainer. I loved the way that you put that you just like, you wanted something that wasn't a desk job. Like it needed to be interesting. And I feel like that's so, you got that. Like you're working with every sport. You know, every day is different. You're traveling all over the place to cover all of the sports. Like, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, no day is the same in athletics, that's for sure. Athletic training especially. I never know what injury is going to walk through the door. I never know what sports are going to end up showing up. You know, I just get to experience so much difference, and I couldn't sit and do the same job over and over.
No.
So I compare it to kind of like a firefighter. I don't want the houses to catch fire, but when they do, then I'm able to do something. So that's kind of how I think a lot of athletic trainers view injuries, and we don't necessarily want them, but they do keep our job interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yes.
Thank you for telling us more about athletic training as a career, and we got to get you on again next season. We'll go again after the next season.
We would love to.
Thank you again, Kayla Phillips, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this episode of the Romeo Sports Recap Show, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. You can subscribe to the Mitt TV YouTube page and click the notification bell to stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Romeo Sports Recap. Or you can find us on Spotify and follow our podcast, Romeo Sports Recap. From the Mitt TV, I'm Tim Meyer here with Madison Janabet, signing off with a final word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tv@gmail.com.